Well, my dad died on Tuesday. It's a bittersweet day. I think he was born in 47, so I think that makes him 76. Is that right? Yeah, I think 76. And he smoked. He had lung cancer. I think Crohn's disease is finally what got him. And other than my sister's wedding, I think that was in 2008, if memory serves, 2006, 2008, something like that. And I spoke to him real briefly there for probably like a minute. I hadn't spoken to my dad since 2000, so it's been 23 years. And it's sad in a way, but it's not sad because he did reconnect with his faith, and that's the most important thing. He reconnected with his faith. So I cannot stress how joyous it's like the prodigal son. And I'm not like, don't make more of this than it needs to be, but the prodigal son frustrates a lot of people because it says, why are you allowing this guy, who basically took his inheritance and squandered it, why are you throwing a party for him when he comes back? When the son that didn't leave, he's still there. And I get it. You're like, that doesn't seem fair, God. Especially when you read Genesis with Esau and Jacob and Ishmael and Isaac. You're like, it seems like God plays favorites. We don't know why. But with the prodigal son, I was listening to my man Paul from Pockets of the Future on YouTube. And you should listen to Paul. He's great. And apparently, like in India, Paul's an Eastern religion guy. At least he used to. I don't know if he still is or not, but he does a lot of meditation. And that sounds, hippy-dippy, guru stuff. No, not like that. Paul's an Eastern religion guy. And he said, was it Sash Mahal or Sash? He's some kind of thing he practices. I don't know what it's called. And there was a falling out amongst his own people because I guess the dodgy guy who took over, apparently he had some issues. And so Paul there's a falling out with that religion. And I'm not sure what's going on. I don't really care to know. Don't know. Don't tell me. That's what actually Paul says. But apparently there's a story that some Indians would tell in that faith religion about, that all these people die, these Indians die, and these poor Indians die. And they're all waiting to get in their version of the pearly gates, whatever it is. And they're all waiting there, waiting to get in the pearly gates. And then, so a rich guy dies, and he gets put to the front of the line. And these poor Indians, like, man, what the hell? There's favorites up here too. You're like, God, you're playing favorites with the rich people even in heaven. And you can kind of see their frustration. Like they're sitting there waiting to get in the pearly gates. All of a sudden, this rich guy says, "Hey, you back there, rich guy, come to the front. You get front." And God says to the Indians, and I'm butchering the story, but hey, you don't understand. I got millions of you guys. I only have one of him, insinuating that just like we say in the Bible, that it's harder for a rich man to get to heaven than it is for a camel to get through the eye of a needle. And the same kind of thing in that religion. He's like, I don't have any rich guys that are up here, so I want to say congrats, glory, glory, glory. You know what I'm saying? That was such a great allegory. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, I think that's funny. And so that's what the prodigal son is like. My dad we were never raised as I didn't get baptized until maybe I got baptized. I didn't get my first communion until I was like 12. You know what I'm saying? The only time we went to Catholic church was on Easter, just because my dad, he liked the music. And did he sing in the choir? I don't think he sang in the Catholic choir, but he did sing in the choir in Portland, Maine. He had a bass voice, is what he said. What my uncle told me. Anyway, so when the prodigal son returns, when one is lost and that one is found again, it's the choirs of heaven sing glory, glory, glory. You know what I'm saying? And so knowing my dad had reconvened his faith with a good Lord and with Jesus, his son, that's a wonderful thing. Even if on this temporal plane we still had human issues. Humanity is imperfect. That's just a fact. Obviously, God made us imperfect, so he allows imperfection. You don't need to be perfect. It's sad for me because I never quite understood like why my dad never, kind of revisited our relationship. It's weird. I never got it. And he kind of, and like when I saw him at my sister's wedding, I think I said, I don't want to say blew me off, but I could tell he wasn't all that keen on reconvening our relationship. So I said, okay. And it was frustrating. Not frustrating is the right word. It was odd. I said, why? I don't get it. It's kind of strange. Towards the end, about the last year or so, maybe the last 6 months, my sister and brother had thrown some feelers at me. I'm not sure if on behalf of my dad or not, that he was, his time was getting near, and maybe you want to reach back out to him, or maybe he want. I can't remember what he. I said, well, he could have done it. He could have emailed me, called me, sent me a letter, but I'm not going to do it through a proxy, if that makes sense. And because I wasn't the one who initiated the going cold, if that makes sense. And it's okay. I have literally no regrets, none whatsoever. I mean, I'm sad that I didn't have a relationship with my dad for basically 25 years. Sad's not even the right word. What's the word I look for? I'm disappointed because I see these guys with relationships with their dad. I'm always like, man, I wish I would have had that. I didn't even have it growing up, frankly. You know what I'm saying? The best year of my life as a kid was living with my dad when I was in 8th grade. Yeah, in Portland, Maine. It was 8th grade. I was a 8th grade middle school at King Middle School in Portland, Maine, and that was the best year of my life as a child by far. And I had a couple good years as a young kid on Peaks Island because I actually greatly enjoyed living on Peaks Island because you could do whatever you want to do. I didn't enjoy my home life because there's always fights and carnage and just tension. Oh man, I just remember getting off the boat from school. I just get these massive stomach pains, and I'd always wondered what it was. And now, in hindsight, I said it's just stress. Like having to go home to a house that's either going to be freezing cold because the heat bill wasn't paid, or the parents would be fighting and throwing stuff at each other, and who knows what else. Oh, and so when they split up when I was 10, yeah, it was frustrating. That was probably, as talk about bittersweet. My dad had finally landed a job that paid some money, and we didn't have a car, we didn't have a TV or anything like that, but we actually had some money, so we got to, pay the heat, the oil bill, for instance, and I don't know, maybe we got to go to a restaurant a couple times or something, I can't remember. But for the first time, we had some money. About 6 months later, they split, and they were just fighting incessantly, and it was so frustrating because you're like, we finally got some money, and now you split. But it was bittersweet because it's like, in a way, I was so happy that they split because there's so much fighting, so much carrying on. And I was just like, oh, every time I come home, I was like, I can't take. I literally have blocked a lot of that out of my memory just because Anyway, so he had found, and a lot of it self-destructive. He was an alcoholic. He got dry, and he encouraged me to get dry. In AA, they still have these things called a dry drunk, and I would attribute that to my dad. I haven't spoken to him for 25 years, so I don't know how he's been the last 25 years. But even when he was sober, he still had a lot of the disharmony of being a dry drunk, if that makes sense. And that's too bad. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that he rejuvenated his relationship with God. And as someone who, I challenge the Trinity with Jesus being God. I'm not sure I believe that, actually. I think Jesus is 100% the Son of God. I think Jesus 100% was resurrected from the dead and showed himself to about 530 people. Well, I don't have any question about that in my mind at all. And I think Jesus' resurrection is what opens the pearly gates. However, I don't think believing in Jesus is how you get to heaven. You know why? Because Satan believes that Jesus is the Son of God. You see what I'm saying? And I also don't think that, I think Jesus gives commands as well. And I don't think, according to Paul, that, we're just all, it's all good, just faith alone. I don't believe that for 2 seconds flat. I think that's silly, frankly. You have to follow Jesus' commands to the best of your ability. But God, again, he made imperfect people. So we're going to be imperfectly following Jesus' commands. What I think it is, and this is what I'm glorious for, is my dad I know is up there right now. In fact, who knows? Maybe my dad's been resurrected into a newborn baby in India. I don't know, in Pakistan. We don't know. I don't know. But I do know he's, whatever pain and suffering he was on this temporal plane is gone now. You know what I'm saying? It might be revisited here soon because maybe he didn't do what he was called to do on this life. God's saying you got to try again. I don't know how that works. But for me, I think what it is like C.S. Lewis has a book, and I forgot what it was. I forgot the title of it, but C.S. Lewis's book is basically, you have this man who's waiting in a bus terminal to go take a bus to basically go to heaven. And he has this ball and chain, and he's kind of like frustrated because his wife died before he did. It's been a while since I read this book. It's such a great metaphor, or I can't remember what it was. Metaphor, allegory. I don't know why I got allegory in my head, but it's such a great way to look at it. And anyway, so as he's on this bus, he gets on his bus, and they're driving around. I guess getting out of the world and going to heaven. His wife appears before him and said, "Oh, you're here. You arrived. Great." And this ball is shrinking because he's getting ready to leave all that crap behind. His worldly views, his worldly issues. He's getting ready to leave it all behind and go into God's realm. But something happened. He goes, "But honey, you got to explain. Why did you leave me? You left me there by myself." And he's just like jealous, and he's got vanity, and he's prideful. The whole thing. He's like, and as he's thinking about this, to tell his wife, "You left me behind. You left me behind. You left me behind." The ball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. A ball and chain. And she's like, "It doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter." And if memory serves, does he got a monkey on his back too? I can't remember. But I remember a ball and chain. And she's got like angels around her. I can't remember. But she's like, "Joe," whatever her name is, "it doesn't matter. Just get rid of it. Here, none of that matters. Drop it." And he's like, he can't. And as such, he just can't get off the bus and go to heaven. He can't. And so he goes back in the waiting room. And the ball is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Until it's basically engulfing him. Because he just can't leave the temporal plane alone. About how he got taken advantage of. How, what his mom did to him as a kid. That's not necessarily part of the story. But I'm saying this is what we bring that into the eternal realm. That's the pearly gates. And St. Peter's like, "You're welcome to come on in. Regardless of your faith, your religion, you're welcome to come on in, but you got to leave all that crap behind. We can't bring that stuff from humanity into here. This is where none of that, you can't have that. You got to leave it behind. Whatever happened to you, whatever fear, chaos, hate, all that, feeling betrayed, you got to leave it all behind. Because here, it's just happiness. Pure, unadulterated happiness. None of that happens here. What does that mean with like the girl you loved who left you behind? Will you be able to, hang out with her and her husband? I don't know how that works. I just know at the end of the day, you got to leave it all behind. I don't know this, but it's my thing. I do 100% agree the way C.S. Lewis put it. Like, you just got to say, no, I'm leaving it behind. So regardless of what my dad was facing with his relationship with me or whoever, if he could leave it behind, he's good to go, man. He's up there with the pearly gates with the good Lord. He's saying, he's looking down on us right now and saying, "You don't know what you're missing." That's a freaking glorious thing. No tears. It's freaking, man, I can't wait. Wait for that to me. And so with that said, I'm glad my dad has died, because all the pain, the agony, the self-doubt, all that stuff, the self-torture, it's all gone. It's all gone. And it's just, this is what you want for people. Literally, this was, I got Penn from Penn and Teller. He goes, if you truly believed that salvation awaited for me, and if I don't believe like you do that I will be banned from salvation, how can you not preach to me about the need to follow your faith? I completely agree. But I'm at this stage in my life, I don't think God is up there saying, you chose wrong, sorry, you're going to hell. I don't think so. I think God is all loving. And I think God is up there saying, man, you leave it all behind and you come through the pearly gates. Y'all can. I don't care what. I truly believe that. For us who've been educated, if you will, indoctrinated into Christianity, I think we still have to follow that rule of law that says Jesus died for our sins, Jesus suffered on the cross for our sins, but after 3 days he was resurrected. And as such, after the third day, his resurrection opened up the pearly gates. I completely think you have to follow that. I do not necessarily believe that Jesus is the Lord. I don't. I believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And he was born by a virgin mom named Mary, 100%. And as such, I don't think that you're going to get to heaven just by saying, I have faith in Jesus, I have faith in Jesus, I have faith in Jesus. I think you get to heaven by saying, Jesus, you sacrificed everything. You gave up the ghost for me. I can give up all my human thoughts for you. That's truly what I think. And if I do, it's good to go. If I can't, I'll sit in the waiting room like the C.S. Lewis book, where I'm just sitting there. And basically my self-proclaimed agony, as C.S. Lewis says in another part, not in that book, something else he had written. We say on this earth, God, thy will be done. Whatever happens is God willing. God, thy will be done. And when we get to pearly gates and we're unable to leave that stuff, that baggage of this temporal plane behind, I think God says, Josh, thy will be done. I'll send you back to the waiting room. And that is your personal agony hell, where you're just like, how come Mary didn't do this? I literally, there's I think a Richard Matheson book. Somewhere, no, what was it? I can't remember. There's a movie with Robert Williams of it. Richard Matheson, the guy who wrote I Am Legend. I want to say Somewhere in Time. I'm not sure that's I'm not sure if that's the book. I think Somewhere in Time is a different book he had written. Anyways, Robin Williams was in a movie that he did. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the book that Matheson had written. And he shows Robin Williams going to hell to retrieve his. It was Robin Williams to retrieve his wife. And he's going through this patch where he's stepping on people, basically souls, and skeletons and whatnot. And there's like a realtor down there that says, they're reliving their bad ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told her that, I always said that I just wanted my tea. Like, again, it's the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. I just wanted my tea warm. What's so hard about that? And there's a realtor down there that says, I can't remember what the realtor says. Like, I told her that, I forgot what it was. But it's just like they can't get out of their own way to find themselves into heaven. And so they're living in their own torturous hell. God doesn't send you there. In my opinion, you don't know, I don't know. Because I think God's forever loving. He loves us as creatures, and he wants us happy, and he wants us happy with him in eternity. And the way to be happy with him in eternity is to leave all this crap alone. Now, I do think there might be some case where you can make that, you could say at the end of the day, I didn't do enough to leave this alone, to leave this behind, so I got to kind of revisit my life as a resurrected soul in another body, and that you get another chance to figure it out. I'm not quite sure I follow that path in terms of a belief system, but I think there's something to be said about that. Like, you didn't quite get there this time. Let's try it again. You know what I'm saying? And because we want you here, but you gotta get there by engaging in proper behavior, doing good works, being faithful to the creator of all things, and then at the end of the day, leaving it all behind. It's an interesting concept, and I just find it interesting. But anyways, for me, my dad being dead, glorious. It's a glorious day. It's glorious. And my mom will soon come. Like I said, she's got lung cancer. She's in a wheelchair. She's not in a good place. She's got all kinds of issues physically. And it'll be glorious for her because she's suffered for a lot. A lot of it's self-inflicted, but she's suffered for a long time. And it'll be a wonderful day when that pain stops. I just hope my mom can be like my dad and find his way to peace through the good Lord, and to forgive herself for all the things that she has done wrong. And I hope I can do the same for myself, and I hope you can do the same for yourself, because if we truly believe that God forgives because of Jesus Christ, his son, man, you got to forgive yourself first. And this is, again, my frustration with my dad. It was, in AA, you go and you try to make amends, man, with the people you hurt. And I never got that from my dad. And it's still frustrating. I'm not angry, but I don't get it. It's weird. But that's okay, because in AA you're supposed to make amends, but you don't make amends seeking forgiveness from me. You got to forgive yourself. And if you can't forgive yourself, yet you expect God to forgive you, what's that about? So you're saying you're so bad that you can't forgive yourself, but God can? Yeah. If God can forgive you, you can forgive you. And you need to learn how to do that. It's the biggest first step, man. Forgive yourself and seek the guidance of God in all you do. And try to glorify the Lord in all things you do. Because there's no right answer other than there is a creator. And for me, the creator loves us all, and he wants us to glorify in him in eternity. And you gotta forgive yourself. That's all there is to it. No, appreciate you hearing my story. We'll see you. Love to hear your comments.